ये रेडियो पाकिस्तान पॉडकास्ट है।
Assalamu alaikum listeners and viewers, this is your host RJ Taghreed and I have with me a very special guest, Mahnoor Mukhtar. You're listening to Radio Pakistan podcast and stay tuned for this exciting episode. I have with me Mahnoor Mukhtar. Let's welcome her on our show. Assalamu alaikum Mahnoor.
Walaikum assalam, Taghreed. Thank you so much for having me on this show. I'm really thrilled to be here and share my experience and journey with the audience.
Yes, of course Mahnoor. I'm excited as well because you're the youngest digital marketer of Pakistan. You're only 20 years old, Mahnoor. How did you do all of that? How did you achieve so much in such a young age?
So basically, if we go back, it started 4 years ago when I was 16 years old. You can say that was like a bit of curiosity in like exploring things and just like getting somewhere and being financially independent. So I did achieve my goal at a really young age. I was independent at 18. I did a lot of things. Like I had my first company when I turned 18 years old. So then when I turned 20, I just registered my company in Dubai as well with the name of Digital Marketers. So that's how it all went. I'm still exploring. I'm still learning a lot of things, but that's my journey. And I think like in short, if we say, I think people get a lot of inspiration from me. But
yeah, of course. Why won't they get inspiration from me?
Recently I've discovered that being at 16 age and doing something, because from this angle, if I see like a 16 years old going to an office, I feel like, okay, that's something special.
Yeah.
But at that stage, it was not in my head. It was just like, it was a bit awkward as well. There were like things that we will discuss later on. But in general, if you say, I just didn't notice that because I had a goal set. I was like, okay, if one thing is not working, I have to go with another one. So you can say that.
So you always had a plan at the back of your mind.
Yeah, a plan, a lot of energy which I invested. And you know, when you think about something, or you say, you know, when you believe on something, it starts existing. You know? Then you start working for it. Yes.
You know, if something exists in your head, then it can exist in
that's
reality as well. The idea first has to generate in your mind and then it becomes a reality.
Exactly.
Mahnoor, as a child, what did you want to be? Like, did you always know that you want to become a digital marketer, or as a child you had other aspirations?
If I go back, I feel like, you know, before 16 years of age, I was doing like multiple things. Like in education, my family was like, you know, we don't have a doctor in our family.
So you have to become the doctor.
Yeah, it was not just me. It was me and my sister.
Okay, so both of you.
Yeah, both of us, like when in 8th grade, we had to select what subject we have to take on, like computer science or biology. So I took biology and I was interested in as well. I was a really good student. I scored really well in metric as well. But things changed with time. Before that, I was interested in crafts. That's something that I have not, you know, disclosed previously anyways. But, you know, like detailed things and doing something creative, you can say. Just making something from scratch and all of that. So, but when I came out of that, I started, you know, I was interested in, as we discussed in our radio session, that I was interested in coding and hacking. So I know that's not too ethical, but it was just like, I wanted to learn it. It was a fascinating concept for me. So I was like, even though I'm doing bio, I'm going to be a doctor, this is something that I want to learn. So you can say then things happened, and you know, when you have something in mind, you can say that God makes the ways, right?
God paves the way and it makes easier for you.
That's what happened for me. So I just set a goal, I make a plan, and I do my best. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If it doesn't work, then I make a new plan. So I just always stick with my goal.
So far from our discussion, I've learned that you're a curious person who likes to dig deep into things and wants to know the why behind the things, right?
Exactly. So that's also the reason that I went into digital marketing, because I just wanted to explore how like this online exposure, how this digital era is changing the way that businesses work. It can be any business, you know, and like every person have every business, you know. And there was a point when things started changing and there was no exposure. People didn't know about like what's going on, how to approach it, and they just started trying their own ways. And not everyone was, you can say, that much well known with the technology, or obviously if we talk about our previous generation, they just tried to learn it, but for them it was an external factor. For us, we just saw it while we were growing up. So we can say that it was a part of our life. So we didn't went back, like step back and saw, okay, this is something that we have to, you know, just let go of. We were like, okay, this is a new thing. We just took it as a part of us. So if we talk about any new thing, so it's a bit of cultural thing as well, that we have to take the concepts, either this is halal or haram. So that's something that when we talk about the difficulties, that's something that happened with me as well. So this is you can say something that I have learned and I'm learning as well with the time frame.
Okay. Mahnoor, how difficult or easy was it for you to convince your parents that this is what you want to do? I know that typical Pakistani parent would want their child to become a doctor or engineer. But how was it like for you when you said that this is what I want to do, I want to become a digital marketer? So how did you
So
convince and how was all of that process?
initially, it was not that I want to be a digital marketer. It was like I just don't want to pursue my medical career. I
Okay.
don't know what got into me, because when I think back of that time, it's like, giving up on everything that I was working for.
Yeah.
Just sort of betraying my previous life and just trying to move on and making something new for myself.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. You can say that I just constantly believed. There was no doubt at all. And when I think back, I was like, something was in there which made me this strong, and I just pursued that. So obviously, I was like, I told my parents that I didn't want to even give the second year exams. I was actually doing a bit of I was on Fiverr. I was doing a bit of freelancing. It was
Okay.
going well, so I was like, what if I pursue this? I didn't know digital marketing, and then I started doing voiceover as well, so which we discussed. So this is something that I was like, what if I will go into this online era instead of going to medical, because I don't want to waste like 4 years of my life.
Yeah.
4 years are too much. So that's something we will discuss when I talk about my education. So I was like, if I'm investing my 4 years in bachelor's, then like step by step, the time that I will become a doctor, I will lose a lot of my
Yeah.
capability, a lot of my want to do something.
That is
So
what I want to say, Mahnoor, that you're so lucky that you identified it at such a young point in your life, because people will continue doing what other people around them want to do. Like, for instance, if others want you to become a doctor, and then you do all of that 5 year MBBS, and then at the end of it, you realize that this is not what you wanted to. This is not what you're
Exactly.
passionate about. So you're so lucky that you identified what you're passionate about, and then you pursued it.
Yeah, that's something that is like so common that I just feel like that concept of someone controlling your life, because there's a difference between showing you the path. Because I remember initially at the stage, if I talk about how I like started it, it was like my parents was like concerned for me. They told me, you cannot go alone to Dubai.
Yeah.
So they were
Yeah,
concerned.
yeah. I would
So-
want to talk about that fact that as a female, tell my audience, how did you do all of this? Was your family supportive? And then once you stepped into that field, obviously we are living in a male dominated society. So how is it as a female digital marketing?
So in this, I feel like there are two questions. Let's part it out.
Okay.
First thing I will talk about being a female in we're working it out for my family. So it was like I was like, if I'm a problem solver, so I was like, if I go with my brother, if I can continue my path with my brother,
Okay.
being there with me, because he was an IT student, he pursued his, you can say, his career, and his intelligence was there. So
Okay.
there's still things that I don't know, because I just feel like I don't need to know that, because
So he
he's
had the
always-
skills and you had the passion.
Yeah, not skills. You can say he went with me. He supported
To support
me.
you.
Yes, exactly. So he supported me throughout. Like I know there were like really really hard times. So, but initially at the stage I was like, what if you ditch your career and you go with me to Dubai? And then luckily he was offered a job there as well. So from that moment onwards, he's tolerating me. Honestly, it's been you can say 3.5 years. So I really regard him in that way, because I remember that at one point he told me that degree is really important. You can't just ditch your degree and continue. And at that time I was really rebellious, and I was like, I want to do what I want to do. So and that sort of backfired me. I'm really grateful that I did pass that exam. I did went and give the second year exams.
Yeah.
Because if I hadn't, I wouldn't be even intermediate pass, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that I feel like really lucky that I had that support system who encouraged me to do my thing, and also told me what's the right path is, right?
Uh-huh.
Because obviously the teenage is really a phase. You are
Yeah.
also in teenage,
Yeah,
so you can understand.
I'm in my teens. I can totally understand what you're trying to say.
That's a phase where you don't understand when someone is trying to say. But when I'm at this stage, whenever I see back whatever the decisions they made for me, that was in my favor. It went in my favor. Sometimes it wasn't. So I was like, okay, let's talk it out. What's the problem? That was the same thing when I had to go to Dubai. I was like, let's talk about what's the problem is.
Yeah.
And they talked about their problem. There was all like it solved the problem through communication. So
yes, you know what, Mahnoor, it's so important that we tell it to our audience how important communication is between a child and his or her parents. Whatever you want to do, just talk it out with the parents and they will understand. And you also have to understand their point of view. Like if they're saying something, why are they saying it?
yeah. So basically, there is a generation gap. Obviously, you cannot
Yeah.
fill that, but you cannot obviously put them like aside.
Yeah.
But this is our
You
thing.
have to give them
Yes,
regard, and you
I'm a
have
really
to put.
talkative person, you know that. So what I do is, at the end of the day, I know my mother is tired. She comes from the school. She's a teacher, so I know. But I will call her. I will tell her every detail of my day, and then I will call my father. Then I will call each of my siblings because I have that connection, and I have figured out that obviously you cannot live alone at the end of
Yeah.
the day. So that's the family that you have. I have a really good connection. I didn't have initially, but I was like, okay, let's communicate things.
Yeah.
Sometimes obviously you are not going to be on the same page because you're not same person.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you keep communicating, my mother is, you can say, my best friend. I could talk to her about everything, and there was a
This is
filter.
a great message for the young girls out there.
Yeah, there was a filter in between as well because I'm like, you can say, outspoken, too much outspoken. So that backfires sometimes as well. So for that we had a filter which was my brother in between. So I was like, okay, I communicated with my brother, and he was the one communicating
Okay, so
with
he was
my
the one
parents.
who was the middleman. He was
Yeah,
corresponding.
a lot of things in my life that happened has been because of him. Because when I go ahead and I'm like to my parents, I just say directly. But he has the communication skill. He's like, he's going to make a complete plot. He's going to tell them.
Elder siblings have their strategy of their own. They know
Yes.
how to convince the parent and
Exactly.
how they're going to convince.
Yeah, so that worked for me really, really well. So now I'm still working with him. He's my partner in my company as well. He is my manager as well. So he has supported me because I am mature, you can say, in my work field, but I'm not mature as a person.
Okay.
So in my life, there's still decisions that I have to make. So he's the one guiding me through, showing me right and wrong. So you can say a lot of my upbringing is because of him. So he's 5 years older than me. A lot of details in my life, whatever I've learned for in these last few years, it's all from him. So that credit goes to him.
Well, that's great, Mahnoor. We'll get back to the second part of the question that I asked, but first let's talk about digital marketing. I know that most of the people who are listening to us or watching us right now know what digital marketing is, but still, just a brief intro of what digital marketing is.
Okay, so basically, before digital marketing, let's step back and see why digital marketing. Every business, when it was going, before what happened was you make a store and
Yeah.
you wait for customers to come, right?
Yeah.
So whenever if you're making a bakery, if you're making a general store, let's just talk
Yeah.
from the simple area, okay? So, but customers will come because it's on the view, right?
Yeah.
But in digital marketing, what happens is now people are so much depending on the online venture that they don't want to go out. They don't want to interact
They want
with
the
people.
product to come to
Yes.
them.
So it's the sort of, you can say, comfortable life that they choose. So for that, all the online era, the website is your store,
Yeah.
right? So we will create those. It's based on niche as well. But if we talk from the basic, we will say, okay, I will create the website. I will create the social media accounts. That's your store, okay?
Okay.
But then to bring traffic, how will people know that you are there,
Yeah.
right? So that
How are you
SEO
going to attract your audience?
Yes, not attract. It's like people don't even know that you exist.
Okay.
Because it's not in a location. People don't really know about, okay, something comes up, right?
So make people aware of your presence.
Yeah, for that we use SEO, search engine optimization.
Okay.
If I need some bakery product, I will write it out, and if your store comes up on top, obviously I'm going to buy from it,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
if it does not, obviously if it's in the 10th page of Google, no one's gonna
No one's gonna-
recognize
yeah.
it. So there's a whole pattern that how we put it on the #1 page of Google. So that's SEO. That's my main skill level.
So SEO is basically, for instance, if I have a bakery and then I'm asking you to optimize my page, what will happen is my page will come on the first page
So it
instead of
depends.
being on
Not
the last.
exactly on first. So it will come on first page, but the position will depend on a lot of factors. First, it will depend on the competition. It will depend
Okay.
on the market that you're in. So there are multiple factors that either we're doing it organically, either we're doing it inorganically. Inorganically, it's just competition that we will have to consider. But inorganically, we have to take care of a lot of other factors. So that's something that I want to put a lot of emphasis on, that I'm looking for people who are sort of passionate, who are willing to learn. I'm willing to teach you, SEO, because that's something that people cannot learn from on themselves. that they cannot learn from the thesis.
Well,
They
this is a
have
great
to-
opportunity for our audience.
Yeah, they have to come, like, they have to test it practically. I have like a really limited slot. We know that I was late for today as well, but I'm trying to catch up with the life, because obviously a lot of things that I've built now is just in these last 4 years. So there's a lot of things that I want to do, and hopefully if I have that much life, I will be like you can say planned things, and will teach everything that I already know step by step, because I want to pass the knowledge that I already have. I know that people are sometimes concerned
That is
about
amazing, Mahnoor.
So yeah, if someone learns, and I had a session at Government Graduate College just yesterday as well. So in that, we all of our goal is as well to if only one person who is watching the show, who watched that our panelist meeting as well, just if one person is willing to step up and do the work that I have done to follow the path, I'm happy to teach that. So it will be like we have completed our you can say goal of being here, being conducting this podcast. So that's all I want to do as of now.
Well, that is great, Mahnoor. I have a very interesting question for you.
Okay.
You know what? Personally, I see all over Instagram and all other social media apps that, do this 10 days digital marketing course, do this 1 month digital marketing course. Honest question, are all of these courses worth my time and my money? And should I do it? Will I gain anything?
Okay, so it depends on like either you are from this field or not. Okay, if you're from the field, if you have IT like knowledge, and you just want to grasp on that specific field, then just go ahead. It depends on the obviously the instructor as well, that how they've instructed, because there are like multiple sort of courses, right? A lot of people from my experience have made it based on their experiences, right? Whatever their journey is, whatever they have learned from their practical doing, they have just put it on in a theoretical. And I think we are so lucky to have those people who are taking their time and making these courses. But then again, you have to, being a person, you have to differentiate based on yourself, based on what you want to learn, what your goal is. Obviously you cannot learn it from 2 hours video, the whole journey of the someone who have worked on it for 10 years, right? So if you I think there are 2 main things in this. First, learn, dedicate your time to it, and then practice it. Go into the market. If I'm talking about SEO, make strategies, work on it, do the analysis. There are free tools available. Once you practice it, after one by one, you will start realizing, okay, this thing is missing. Then you will learn about it. So that's my journey as well. So one thing after another, you will learn, and then when you will see a course, you will know that either it's worth your time and money or not, because I cannot decide on your behalf, right?
So you really have to understand that what is some skill that you want to specialize, and then you have to dedicate your time, just as you said, that taking the course is not sufficient. You have to take the course, but then you have to practice and implement all of the skills that you've learned as well, and only then it will bear some result.
Exactly, I totally agree with you, because people have to dedicate some time, because they see freelancing as something which they will do overnight. So that's a myth that I think people need to come out of. This is a whole career. You have to dedicate a lot. If you're in college, universities, whatever you're doing, you have to dedicate at least minimum 6 to 8 hours a day. Because even now, I know 24 hours in a day, but I work 25 hours. So I don't even remember last time I slept, because I know this is my time. I can work. I'm literally working on laptop 15 hours consistently, and I like, okay, at the end of the day, it's fruitful, because I'm getting something out of it. And even after that work, I have dedicated 2 hours in a day to learn some new thing, because I am not doing bachelor's, I'm not continuing my studies, so I don't want to restrict that. So I learned coding all by myself from Google, totally for free. There are channels, there's an Indian channel that is like really famous. So I don't exactly remember the name, but it's really useful. You will go ahead, you will learn. Maybe they have made a mistake in like teaching. You will just go ahead. When you will practice, you will realize that even from that 100% of the video, you might have catch up 60 to 70%. But once you start practicing it, you will get up to 150%. So until or unless you're practicing, obviously you're not learning anything.
That's great, Mahnoor. Let's talk about your future plans. What is something that you want to do? You want to continue digital marketing, or do you have a different plan?
Okay, so if we talk about this, I think in a very short time, I have achieved a lot. So I'm really, really grateful for that.
No doubt in that.
I don't know how this happened, but with time, everything like start falling in place, okay?
I think you dedicated your time to it, and you were consistent, and you knew what you wanted, and you achieved it.
Yeah, there's a part which I never talked about. Like my close friends and family know that in this year, like in the start of this year, I went to Dubai to register my company with all the resources and everything, and there was a cyber attack, which just let my guards down, and I went like I stopped working for 2 months, and obviously it affected my health and my work as well. So they're like good and ups and downs in everything. We see people who are famous, who are doing anything, or maybe you can say who have made their career. We see like maybe they have that going through path all the time. Even though you work your 100%, sometimes you don't get that. But if you are consistent with it, you will get towards the path. So what I did was I went back to Pakistan, and then I moved there, I think in September again. So for the last 3 years I've been on and off to Dubai, but now I've registered my company there. And initially we talked on that like set up, mainly my goal was Gulf, but now I'm expanding it. On career basis, if you talk about my goal, I have stopped talking about my plans, because previously things have happened that if I say about something, it sort of leads to not me doing it. So in my head, something, it was like, okay,
so you want to keep your plans secret?
Not secret. It's like I want to do something for people. I want to do something which has never done before. I've always been a fan of talking. I've always been a fan of communicating with people and sharing the knowledge, learning from it. And I've been like, if you're an intellectual mind, I can talk to you for hours. So that's something that I want to learn new things. I want to not just digital marketing is a wide field. If you say in total, maybe I just know 20% of it. Because in digital marketing, there are a lot of things that are coming in the market that with time I will learn and explore and obviously be an expert in. But as of now, if we talk about career plans in the next 5 years, I want to resign at 25, honestly speaking. When I turn 25,
you want to take retirement at 25 and do something else.
I will have 10 years of experience. I'm already settled now, but just next 5 years, like I just turned 22 months ago. So next 5 years I want to dedicate to my company and want to expand it to a really international level where people recognize my company and can be benefited.
Wow, you're so inspirational, Mahnoor, I have to say that.
As there's one thing as well, thank you so much, and there's one thing as well that in digital marketing, not everyone is going to consider your business. Let's say if you come to me for services, I'm the owner of the company. Why would I take over your contract? There's sales people in the company, salesperson who will log the call. And initially when we were structuring the company, my manager also suggested me, you cannot take over a lot of work because I'm doing freelancing, I'm doing these free business consultations, then I'm doing events, then I'm working as well. So when it comes to work, all my clients, each one of them, I have a separate meeting with each one of them every week, because I want to focus on their project, because they came to me from my profile, right? So sometimes it's you can say it's now I'm feeling like it's getting unrealistic that I work this much hours and I have to work on the structured plan. But overall, if I feel like if I'm taking your contract, I have to be honest with you. If your in digital marketing, what happens is if your business is growing, my business will grow, right? So if I'm taking your contract, I have contracts from, like, you can say 3 years back as well that I'm still earning from. I'm not doing anything. I just worked 3 years ago, and they're my assets. So I don't have to do anything for myself as of now. But I think like sorry.
No
I
problem.
feel like I will be working on my company, exploring it, and mainly my goal is to provide businesses online exposure. That's my company in Pakistan and my company in Dubai. Both of the goals are to give that exposure that other companies are not. Because I feel sad because if let's say if you are opening a company and you are saying something, you are delivering something, the owner is not that much dedicated. They just care about the money that
they hire people and then they're the ones who are going to work for you.
I was like offered, being a digital marketing manager, I was in a digital marketing director position when I was 18. So and I was offered, what if you take over the head department of digital marketing and guide people. But then I figured that this person who is the owner, he doesn't care about the clients. He doesn't care about what people are doing or how their business is affecting. He was just giving us orders. So I was like, my main goal is like, I do work as a marketing consultant with multiple companies, but it's like, if I'm because I don't want all clients for myself, okay? I'm not greedy. I have enough. I'm good with that. But it's like, if I'm consulting you, it's like I have my say in that, okay? If I feel like this client needs this much attention or this client needs this much resources, you have to provide that. So I'm an independent contractor who will work on my own wills, because if you don't know about digital marketing and you have me in the team, then I'm going to be the person who will I have no problem at all telling you or guiding you, because even if you're 50 years old old, or even if you are 15 years of old. For me, I will learn from it if you have something, because even if from my team, even if I'm hiring interns, even if I'm managers, directors, any person in my team, I'm still learning from them, because everyone have a special skill. And that's what I say to people, that don't go with the things that are moving. Let's say I'm doing digital marketing, maybe it's not something that will work for you. Maybe you have your own skill level, you have to just identify that.
Well, that is great, Mahnoor. I also think that it is very important that you look into the business, because every business has different needs.
Yes.
Not every business has the same needs, and not every plan or strategy will work out for every business.
Exactly. That's really insightful of you, that you got that from the information that I'm trying to give, because sometimes it happens that whenever I'm talking about digital marketing, sometimes people don't really understand. So I've tried to simplify things. So whatever information I'm giving out, people actually catch up with that and understand, because that's the goal after all, right?
Yeah. Well, Mahnoor, let's get back to that first question I asked you in the beginning. How, as a female, you're surviving in this male-dominated society where you have to, obviously deal with males, and how is it like? Are you comfortable? Obviously you are, because you are in that field. But I do want you to shed some light on that perspective.
So from that, I will say that there are good people in every field. Okay, from my career, there were two things that were main hindrance for me. First, my age, and second was my you can say three things. Second was my bachelor degree. Okay, and third was this dominance. Okay, but if we talk one by one, if you imagine, like if I go back and imagine a 16 years old going to an office, I feel like it was really unrealistic for me, but I passed that phase, and within like a few months, I got promotion in that company as well. I was working in Islamabad at that time, so I feel like that was something that inspires me as well. If I look back at, and those are the things, whenever I'm feeling down, I feel like, okay, I've done a lot of things. Even if I'm slowing down, it's totally okay. So that's how I encourage myself. And when we talk about my age was a main factor, because a lot of times I was being, you can say, specified because of my age, and at that time I felt like it's not required. If I have, like, if we are talking, let's talk about intellectual levels, right? If I have the knowledge, if you have the knowledge, I need to have to save it. Obviously I make my space. That was not in the issue after a year. And then if you talk about the male dominant society, I think that's an issue, but in Pakistan, in generally, if we talk about, it's like a lot of things are being misfed. Okay. If I'm going to an office, I'm feeling totally safe. Okay. Even if I worked in an international company, even if I've been working in Pakistan, I did multiple jobs multiple times. So good people are everywhere,
good and bad people are everywhere.
So for me, it's like to identify. I get that whenever I'm talking to a person, I get that feeling like what's the intention of that person is. And obviously, I don't feel like I don't want to be that much independent. So I always have my brother as my manager everywhere I go. So he's the one arranging everything for me and managing me, you can say. So because I'm still, in short, I'm still a kid.
Well, let's wrap up this podcast. Thank you so much, Mahnoor, for coming in. I'm really glad that you came, because you inspired me a lot, and I'm sure my audience will be inspired as well. Mahnoor is an example of women empowerment. She's an example of following your passions and following your heart's desires, and do whatever you want, and not what others around you want you to do. So I hope that inspired you and led you to a different thought. So if you have a plan, if you have an idea, make sure to turn it into a reality. I know you can, and you will. Thank you so much for tuning in.
ये रेडियो पाकिस्तान पॉडकास्ट है।